All right, so one of my followers on TikTok sent me information on an equipment that he's been having a problem with, and let's see if we can help him out. So the complaint is that under normal conditions, the system is not operating as it should. He can turn on pumps, but he cannot operate the doors. And this is a hydraulic system where I guess there's ramp doors that opens and closes. So the operation doesn't work under normal operations, but if they would change it to EM operation or emergency operation, they can then still open and close the doors. And with the system working when placed in EM operation mode, that tells me that the only thing that they're bypassing is this K06 contact that comes from a relay. So under normal circumstances, it is using this contact to send power from this transformer, 230 volts, from this leg out to the system. But since K06 seems to not be working, and if they place it in EM operation and close this switch, it then allows this leg of the 230 to continue on to P10 to page 443. Here we are on page 443, and here's our power coming in. P10 and P20 are 230 volts. So if we test on these two terminals, when placed in that emergency operation mode, we have 230 volts from point 1 and point 2. And that brings in power to operate all of our solenoid on our hydraulics. As you can see, it continues on and it feeds a lot more of the hydraulic circuit. And he tells me that if they don't place it in emergency mode, then none of the doors will open and close. They have about 10 hydraulic doors on the ramp that open and closes. So if you're not getting 230 volts to your output cards that controls the output of your hydraulic solenoids, it will not work. None of your hydraulics will work. And that brings us back to this page. So with this button here, or this switch here activated, it closes this circuit, which in return runs in parallel to this circuit right here. That just tells me that under normal operations, it is not using this. So this is open, and that just tells me that this set of contact 1114 on this relay K06 is either not being energized or the contacts may be faulty. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how K06 is activated. So we're going to go to page 440, section 2B to locate the coil for this relay. So here we are on page 440, and we are going to go to section 2B. Right, page 440, section 2B. And there's K06. This is the coil that we are looking for. And it looks like this coil is controlled from a PLC output. So PLC output D100 and output Q149 101, terminal 101 is what sends out that 24 volt signal to control our relay coil. So without being able to access the logic of the PLC to see how this output is triggered on, we really can't diagnose it. But one thing to check is to make sure that this card is receiving proper voltage, 24 volts, and this is not open. So looks like this needs to close for our 0 volt reference to continue on and bring continuity to the rest of the PLC slots. So one thing you can do is bring your equipment into normal operations and then check K06 between the coil A1 and A2. And if you see that you have 24 volts there, that means that the coil is being commanded from the output card to energize. And if this coil is energized and has 24 volts between there, you need to see if contacts 11 and 14 are closing. If A1 and A2 has 24 volts across it and your contact remains open from 11 to 14, it does not close. That means that you have a faulty relay. Go ahead and replace that relay. And if you don't have 24 volts coming from 101 to the A1 side of K06, then you need to check inside the PLC logic to see if that output is being commanded on. I see that these output slots here have LEDs to indicate if the output is being triggered or not, but like I said in the past that I've always mentioned, I don't trust these LED lights. So what I would do is access the program, the logic, watch it live, monitor it, and make sure that this output is being triggered on. If the output inside the program is not being commanded to turn on, look through your inputs to see what inputs need to be made for that output to trigger on. And if the program is commanding this output to activate, but yet you don't see 24 volts coming out here, you probably just have a bad output spot because the program is commanding 24 volts to come out, yet the output cannot send out 24 volts. You have a bad output. If you have any open outputs, you can switch the output and change the address, or you would just need to replace your output card. So I hope these little pointers can help you resolve your issues. Until next time, deuces.